They say marriage is the ultimate security, the safe harbor after years of drifting. But what if that harbor is calm? Too calm? What if you find yourself craving storms? My name isn't important. My truth is, I married my best friend, a man I'd known since high school. He was steady, kind, the sort of man you trust with your heart and your future. When he proposed, I didn't hesitate. Security felt like love. Or maybe I convinced myself it was. Our wedding was perfect. Family dancing, laughter echoing under the warm evening sky. We had our traditional Kosa celebration, the blessings, the ululations, the pride in our parents' eyes. I told myself this was the dream every girl should want. But reality doesn't care about fairy tales. The honeymoon came and went. The romance faded into routine. Our nights became quiet. And not the comfortable kind. I would lie awake, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing beside me, feeling the emptiness in my own body. That's when I met him, Mr. N. He wasn't looking for love, and I wasn't looking for trouble. But trouble has a way of finding you when your guard is down. One conversation turned into many. One laugh turned into lingering glances. And before I knew it, I was standing at the edge of a line I swore I'd never cross. This is where my confession begins. It started with something small. A moment that would mean nothing to anyone else. But to me, it was the beginning of a storm I could no longer ignore. We were at a friend's gathering. Music playing softly, people talking, laughing. Mr. N was there, leaning against the wall, watching me in that way that makes the rest of the room fade away. I told myself not to notice. But I did. I tried to keep my distance, to keep our conversations light. Harmless, but harmless turned into curious. Curious turned into bold. When he spoke to me, it was like he could hear the words I wasn't saying. He asked how I was, and I almost told him everything. Not about the marriage, not about the loneliness, just about me, the me that I had buried under cooking, cleaning, and polite smiles. Hours passed, and somehow we found ourselves alone. I don't even remember what joke I told. Only the way he laughed, the way he leaned in just a little too close, and then he kissed me. It was just a touch. But my body reacted as if it had been starved for years. A rush of heat, a sharp breath I couldn't control. I told myself it was nothing but the truth. That moment lived in my skin for days. From then on, every time we spoke, every time our eyes met, I knew we were both thinking about it. About how far we could let this go, and in my heart, I already knew the answer. It was only a matter of time before the first touch became something more. The night it happened, I didn't plan it, but maybe deep down, I wanted it. We met at a small cafe, public enough to feel safe, private enough to feel dangerous. We talked like we always did. But there was a different energy. Every smile lingered. Every silence spoke louder than the words. When I stood to leave, he walked me to my car. We stood there, pretending to say goodbye. But neither of us moved. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from my face. His fingers lingered, and then he kissed me. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't desperate. It was slow, deliberate. The kind of kiss that makes you forget your own name. When it ended, I should have turned away. But instead, I kissed him back, longer, deeper. And in that moment, I crossed a line I could never uncross. After that night, everything changed. I was still the same wife at home, cooking dinner, folding laundry, smiling for the neighbors. But inside, I was someone else entirely. We found stolen moments wherever we could. A coffee shop, a quiet street, a hotel room in the middle of the afternoon. Every meeting was a mix of passion and guilt, the thrill of the secret and the weight of the lie. At night, I'd lie beside my husband, his arm around me, his breathing steady, and I'd wonder if he could feel the distance between us, if he could sense the parts of me that now belonged to someone else. I told myself I was in control, but I could keep both lives separate. But love or lust has a way of bleeding through walls you thought were unbreakable. It was bound to happen. Secrets always leave clues. One evening, my husband asked where I'd been. Just a simple question, but my heart raced. I gave him the story, half truth, half lie, and he nodded. But I saw it in his eyes. Doubt. Mr. N wanted more time, more of me, and I wanted him too. But the deeper I fell, the more I realized I was losing myself. The guilt became unbearable. I started avoiding my husband's touch. And when he finally asked, "Are you happy?" I couldn't answer. Because the truth would have destroyed everything. It didn't end in screaming or violence. It ended in silence. One night, I sat across from my husband and I told him, not everything, but enough. Enough for him to know there was someone else. Enough for him to know I had betrayed him. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything, he just looked at me. Like he was seeing me for the first time and he didn't recognize what he saw. Mr. N disappeared from my life soon after. Not out of anger, but necessity. The damage was done. And there was no version of this story where everyone got to be happy. It's been months since it all fell apart. My marriage is fragile. Some days we talk like before. Some days the silence says everything. I learned something in all this. Security is not the same as love, and love is not always safe. Do I regret it? Yes and no. Because for a while, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. But that life came at a cost I'll carry forever. This is my confession, not for forgiveness. Not for sympathy, but because sometimes telling the truth is the only way to start over.
Like, comment, subscribe and hit the notification button for more confessions.